So obviously Scrimmage won, kind of the end of the first phase of our fall camp, and thought we had some good, some bad, and some ugly, kind of what you'd expect. I thought there was times where, especially early, we had the first situation, and I think it's hard sometimes when you put the guys in those situations immediately because they don't get into the flow of things, and you can tell defensively we weren't ready to go. Conversely, I thought offense, and if we flipped the script, when we did that on Thursday, it was just the opposite. The offense wasn't ready to go. The defense kind of had the upper hand, and so a little bit of that give and take, kind of the ebbs and flows of fall camp, was really pleased with our first group offensive line. Thought they did an excellent job in protection in some situations. Thought we operated in our 2-minute drill with the ones very well. Chris, you can just see Chris grow all the time. You just can. And frustrated I know he was that we weren't able to put those first 2 opportunities in on the red zone with the one. So we gave him the 3rd time, and he was able to dime up a receiver and get us a touchdown there. So he can extend the plays. Just probably the one thing I would have liked to see is a little bit more edge and a little bit more physicality on the defensive side. And I think those guys just kind of eased into things today. And you ease into things, you're going to get hit in the mouth, and that's not going to be good for you. So great opportunity to learn. Most important thing is we got out of here, knock on wood, with nothing. That's what my big concern is. You got to get good work. And so you can see what we kind of tried to do is use the situational stuff for our 1s and our 2s, and then just kind of play ball with the 3s and 4s so they didn't have to overthink the situation, just go play football. And we'll get an opportunity to watch the film and go over it with a fine-tooth comb with them this afternoon. And as I told them, just come back with with an open heart and an open mind and take some coaching. And so, good first scrimmage, I think, and a good place to start and continue to build in phase 2.
Looked like the defense was able to respond though later, in the scrimmage, got some sacks, got some pressure.
Yeah, I actually think Coach Choate did a nice job of kind of bringing the right energy level on the sideline, and that's one of the things that as I told the young men at the end of practice, you can only play defense one way. There's only one way to play defense, and that's with your foot all the way down on the gas pedal and it on the floorboard. And so, Byron kind of rallied the troops, got those guys going. I thought the veterans kind of provided some energy for the young guys and encouraged them on a couple of stops on some longer drives. And so I think there were some positive things there. I mean, everything's a teachable moment, right? It's not just about what goes on between the white lines, but about the energy and the enthusiasm and how the sideline can lift up the guys on the field. And so there were some good things there as well.
Chris had a couple of throws where
Now, who are you again?
Chris had a couple throws where he showed great patience, but also a couple throws where he seemed to get the ball out more quicker than he did at any time last year. So what do you think of that balance, and what do you think of this is overall progression?
Yeah, I think it's been good. I think he still has a tremendously long way to go to be the finished product that we would like him to be and that he wants to be. But you can see the growth. I think it doesn't, you don't have to be around him every day. I think it's probably even easier for you guys to come and see him, when you don't see him every day and you go, wow, he's doing some good things. Ball's coming out. It looks like he's throwing with more authority. He's making more quick decisions. Even when he's escaping the pocket, those things aren't taking quite as long. And so, I think it's continually, it's a continuous process with him, and we'll be as good as he allows us to be, because I do think we have some pieces around him. I like our offensive line, as I mentioned a moment ago. I think our receiving core might be one of the more improved groups on our team, and we're missing some guys that I think, that aren't going to be out long term, but I think are going to be difference makers for us. And then I think, as I said, with the running back situation, I think you can see that we have some options. It's going to be a little bit by committee, but I think there's a lot of different guys back there that have different skill sets that can help us, put a good product on the field on the offensive side.
Along those lines, we saw Troy at the very end. He had to like those 45 snaps that he got in a row.
Yeah, that's kind of, he's a guy that can run well between the tackles because he's a big physical guy, but you can see how he can capture the edge and outside zone, and he can get up to speed. A lot of times those long levered guys, it takes them a while, they're 200-meter runners. Well, he was a pretty good 200-meter runner, but he was a good 100-meter runner too, so he can get up to speed in a hurry. And I think you can kind of see the little thunder and lightning combo that you have with him and Tyrell Burgess. When he gets in the open field, he's a very difficult guy to put on the ground, and so those are some young guys that I think are definitely in the mix. Been really pleased with Logan Jones and the progress that he's made. You see, coming off a little bit of a ding, but Eddie, just showing some toughness and going out and competing today. I don't think he was 100%, but he, I think that was good work for him. And that's what football is. Those guys are all going to be beat up to a certain degree when we get to week 6 and 7 anyway.
You talked about earlier in camp, you talked about watching Troy's workload. Did you have a quick whistle on him on the long run on the right sideline over here?
Well, that was during a clutch period, and so we were all tagged.
Okay.
And so that was what probably you noticed there. Yeah. So, I'm always cautious about those things, but hey, we got to play live football at some point in time. But that particular instance was just because the drill dictated it. Yeah.
Chad Cano seems to be picking up Buck in pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, Chad's been a really good surprise for us. I think, he played inside linebacker and primarily blitzed all the time in high school and was a really productive, good player. But, we thought he'd be a natural off the edge because he was such a productive blitzer in high school. But he showed the ability to pick the defense up fairly quickly. He's not exactly physically what we want in terms of the weight yet, but he's physically what we want in terms of his length and his twitch. And we'll have Michael Jobman will be back rolling 100% on Monday, and so that provides a little bit more depth and a little bit more competition there. And so yeah, I've been really pleased with Chad. I think he's been a nice surprise for us. I wasn't a guy that we were necessarily going, hey, this guy's going to play for us, but he's done some good things through the first 11 practices.
Solid day from Tucker Rovig as well. Did you like what you saw out of him?
Yeah, I did. I did. I think there were highlights and not so good things out of each one of the quarterbacks, that including Chris. And so, but I think Tucker, I think he's kind of where he's his best is operating in game situations. Sometimes he's a winner. That's just who that guy is. He won a lot of football games and I'm playing at a really high level at Mountain View High School, and he's got the tools. And it's hard to believe that we asked Chris to be our guy last year at 17 years old. When you look at Tucker, and Tucker's 18, almost 19. I think Chris might still be one of the youngest guys in the quarterback room, and I think that tells you a little bit about how far Chris has come, and to look at a guy like Tucker who's a little bit more poised than Chris was even coming in. And so we're fortunate. I think we've got the future's bright at the quarterback position. We're going to have some great competition there.
Jalen dropped the one chance at interception, but did you like his? I thought he was willingness to
that dude. Yeah, he's a competitor now, and and then we saw at the end there where Tyrell Thomas came off the edge and got a sack for us at the nickel position, and yeah, that's who he is. He ain't real big, but he loves football, and he will compete and throw it around, and so I like it. I think that's why the guy was so highly thought of as a recruit, because that's the type of competitor he is. You can knock him on his size all you want, but when you play at modern day and you play at the level he did, and you do some of the things that he's capable of doing, I think that's why everybody was so high on him, and we're certainly glad he's a Bobcat.
Other impressions of the defensive secondary today?
Well, I thought we had some communication issues, which was discouraging, especially with some of the veteran safeties. And so I was frustrated by that. We gave up some explosive plays in the pass game that were with some of the guys. Hey, if it's the rooks out there, those things are going to happen. But when you're rolling with Bryson and Conkle and Kahari, those guys have done this for a while. That was probably one of the things that was a little bit discouraging, was we did give up some explosive pass plays. So, hey, good job by Chris and the receivers and the O-line executing, but at the end of the day, those guys are a little too open. And I think there were some communication breakdowns that caused that to happen.